So, Rachel, I want to kind of jump into the paradox of overnight success, which with the huge, obviously, hit of Fight Song and working so hard and so long for that, and then it becoming what it was. I just want to rewind the tape for a hot second and go there, because there was so much going on in your life at that point. What inspired Fight Song?
When I was in my 20s, I spent most of my 20s, about 10, 11 years, from 21 until 32, 33, on the road trying to make this dream happen, trying to become a success in music. And it was really hard. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any connections in the industry at all. So I was just grinding. I really didn't know anything about the industry. I didn't know how you were supposed to do it. I think the only avenue to overnight success at that time, there wasn't like TikTok stars or anything. There was
Right.
American Idol. And
Right.
so I didn't want to go that route. And I tried to build this touring indie fan base in New York. And I would play these clubs. I'd play for 3 hours. I'd play covers. I'd play wherever anyone would have me. I'd lug my 85-pound piano keyboard around the city into subways and up and down. And, there's this grit that you develop when you're chasing a dream, if you're relentless about it, if you refuse to give up. So that was where Fight Song was born. I also was singing in hospitals at the time. It was part of kind of how I balanced all the rejection from major labels. Was I would go and sing bedside to patients and realize, well, my goodness, like they might be rejecting me, but I am seeing directly that music is healing and that this does mean something, and that my music does matter, even if it's one-on-one, and it matters maybe more in that way because it's not servicing my ego. So from all of that, after writing thousands of songs, playing thousands of shows, 13 years of traveling around the country in a car and then a van, selling CDs out of a suitcase, and just grassroots trying to build this career, I reached a point where it became really hard to keep believing. I think I was 32 at the time, and my friends were buying houses or moving on with their lives, and I was still trying to pursue this dream that seemed almost kind of a joke at that point, because like nothing was happening. But in one of those moments in a songwriting session, actually in Malibu, really close to the fires, I wrote Fight Song. It came to me in a, like it was already downloaded, that chorus. It was already existing, and it just washed through me, and I started sobbing and playing on my friend Dave's piano, and I looked at him as it came through, and I was like, is this any good? And he was like, keep going, keep going. And the song itself took another 2 years to write, which is insane. But
What?
yeah, that's where it came from, was me refusing to give up on my dream.
Wow.
And like a rally battle cry, really just for me, just for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
give up.
And how do you, 2 years, get me inside of that, right? Like, and how do you, I guess even too, like, how do you know when a song is done or an album is done, right? How does that work?
I had at the time a manager and my husband Kevin, and both of them were sort of sounding boards in terms of like bouncing my ideas off of them. And my manager was particularly tough on me in a good way at the time, I think. He refused to let me give up on the idea, and he just kept being like, it's not good enough yet, it's not good enough yet, like just keep going, keep writing it, which is crazy to me now, because now I don't really listen to anyone else about whether my songs are good enough or not. I trust that in knowing. But I think like without success yet, really feeling vulnerable about, well, what do I know? I knew I had a chorus that was very special. It was moving people, but the verses were what took me so long. And I wrote, I think, maybe 15 different versions of the verses, which is really nuts. Like,
Yeah, that's I don't know, but that feels like a lot.
it's a lot. It's a lot. And I spent so many years, and I tried it with different producers, and no one was nailing the sound that I heard in my head. And so eventually I had to go and learn all of those programs myself so that I could produce it, so that I could get the drum sound I want, so that I could like finally lay the bed for the music that would birth the words like this, like a small boat on the ocean. That came only after I experimented over and over, and ultimately became the producer, the writer, the artist, like
Of all of it.
all of it. Yeah, all of it. Even my manager had given up on me at that point. It took so long. He kind of wasn't returning my calls.
Wow.
And, yeah.
He takes them now. He takes them now if you call him. They pick up when everything's good.
They call now, yeah. I mean, they pick up now. But, yeah. So it took all of that to finally get the version that you guys hear now.
And then, I mean, you were 34 when it became an unbelievable hit, number one. And then, of course, the labels come running. You signed to a label. How has your, I mean, this is a big question, right? But like when that happened, what happened inside of you?
It was this really exciting, confusing, overwhelming, like feeling. Nothing stopped. Everything, once it started, it happened so fast. And it had been so slow before that. It had been so many years of anonymity. So it was bizarre all of a sudden that every single label that rejected me was running and desperate to get me. And it was just really confusing. It was like, well, I'm the same person. I had this, you heard this song. You didn't want this exact song. I'm the same exact, what changed? And now having seen that ride, like that roller coaster ride that the industry puts you on, both up, down, like so many times now, I'm really learning finally to just not take it all seriously. Like you're going to come when you know, and then you're going to leave, and you're going to come and you're going to leave. And I have to ultimately be the one who's good with me. I have to be the one who's believing in me no matter what. So yeah, it was really strange. It was really strange. And it felt like, wait, am I more worthy? Am I more important? And like, am I special now? And it was really confusing.
You know, I when I was a sports agent, I remember when, you know, a ball player would come into the office and sit down, and he's 18 years old and he's going to make $10 million in the draft, and the parents are sitting there, and I could sort of see that too in a little bit of a different way, this overwhelm of the amount of people wanting a piece of their little precious son who, it just pursued a dream, and now he's here. And it's scary and overwhelming for all of them. And I remember always just wanting to hug the parents and tell the kid, just keep doing what you're doing. Probably you had to have people around you that said, just keep doing what you're doing the way you did it, because that's what got you here.
You know, I really wish that I actually had more people saying that to me. I think actually what I heard was a lot of like, or maybe just perceived, was like, act as if. Now you have to act like you're a famous person. Act like you're special now. Like, you can't actually wear what you wear anymore. You can't actually, you know, do that. You actually now have to act famous. Like, get skinnier, put on smaller shorts, like, or smaller clothes, get Botox, look the certain way. Because we were very much the era of sparkly, shiny pop stars. Like, it's not like how it is now, where there's a lot of permission for artists to be themselves. It was like, remember, this is like the height of Taylor's shiny 1989 album, and Katy and Miley was doing her, and like, it was all very like manicured. It was not, and I had come from like, I was like a road dog. I was like wearing a
grinder
on couches. I was not that. And I was and I'm kind of more of a hippie at heart anyway. Like, I wouldn't wear makeup if I didn't have to. I probably wouldn't wear shoes on most of the time. I like the beach and the ocean and being dirty, like whatever.
Sure. You're like, I got a shower now and I can't what?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, that was a 2-for-1 for. No, but I mean, yeah. So I think I was getting pressure to change and like match the moment match, you know. So that was also confusing, and it felt like I fundamentally and I think it's like a tale as old as time. I think it's really bizarre because as an artist, what gets you there is you being completely you, the most you can be. And then you think, oh, am I supposed to change now? And then you kind of lose the thing.
How did you navigate that, right? Like, when did you sort of find yourself having the confidence maybe and the courage to take it in, filter it though through your head and heart, and then show back up?
It wasn't until this most recent album.
Yeah.
Honestly, it took me a severe mental health crisis and a kind of letting it all go, letting the whole career fall away, having children, becoming a mother, all of these real focusing on my marriage, like all these really grounding things that are just, identity changers, and like and letting music go and letting the dream go and just being like, okay, like because of my mental health, I don't think I can do this and be a mom and be a wife and be like sane and okay. And so it took me until the past couple of years to really realize, like, you know what? I love who I am. I love the music I make.
That's awesome.
I'm enough. And I really
good for
am
you.
enough. And this past, this record I put out, I titled it I Am Rachel Platten because of that very thing, because it's the first time that I really feel like I am owning and showing who I truly am
I
to the
love
world
that.
in every respect. And so I really feel like it's the most me that I've ever
That's so
been,
cool.
in front of
So
people, the most
cool.
honest and vulnerable and real. And I'm so incredibly proud of this music.
And it's so, I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, I was listening to Girls this morning and sent it all I sent that to my girls, certainly, as I was wiping away the tears. When did you decide to, you just mentioned mental health, and you've talked about that quite a bit. When did that become just a part of, look, I got to talk about this. I got to share this. I'm going to be public about it.
Yeah. I don't think that it was that much of a choice as much of a necessity.
Wow.
I felt really, I felt like I was holding something inside of me and wasn't being authentic. And after going through everything I went through, authenticity became not only important to me, but essential. Like, I cannot really hold a lie. I can't pretend anymore. I just can't. Maybe it was something about
That's
turning 40,
awesome. Yeah.
about being a mom. I just don't do the bullshit anymore. I can't do it.
Yeah, good for you.
And
That's awesome.
I feel like you're probably the same way, as I'm sensing from
Yeah,
you.
well, I think, well, I think, and two, I'm 53, right? I think, keep going, girl, keep aging, because I think as you keep going, you get more of it. It's fantastic.
God, it's the best. I was looking at really adorable, cute 20-year-olds in like skirts waiting for a nightclub the other day, and I was like, you couldn't pay
no
me
kidding.
in the world to go back there. And they look so beautiful, but so cold and so lost. And like, and I just remember that. And I love being a woman. I love who I am today. I love it. And I love my wisdom, and I love my wrinkles, and I don't do any of the shit to my face because
So good.
I want my girls to see lines and know, like,
Yep.
What it looks like. And
Sure.
anyway, so I just, I'm just allergic to the inauthenticity, and I think like I had to share it. I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to just keep posting cute pictures of throwback concerts and being like, "Hey, I miss you guys." Like, fuck that. I was not.
Yeah.
So I just told the truth, and
Yeah.
I was met with so much love and support, and so many
cool.
people being like, "Thank God you said that. I'm also suffering. I didn't know that I could talk about it." And when I was met with that, I think like if I hadn't been met with all that support, I probably would have gone into my shell again. And who knows? But God bless the internet because of this, because really there's a lot of things that are dangerous and whatever and wrong, but I think it's can be an incredible tool for connecting and vulnerability and taking off our mask and showing up for each other. And I remember when I was met back with all of that love and all of that support and understanding, I just sobbed tears of relief of like, okay, I can be real. And I think that is what led me to then write the album that I wrote. be as honest as I am in these new songs,
Mm-hmm.
and write songs about my mental health, and write songs about my daughters and my motherhood and all of
So
it.
cool. So cool.
So I think the people that responded with so much love and kindness, and that's why I'm always going to
Mm-hmm.
be from now on really, really
Who
honest.
you? Yeah. Well, it makes the days a whole lot easier, doesn't it? Because it's you just
Yeah.
you be you. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
complicated, right?
Yeah, it was
I
exhausting when I was trying to pretend to be a pop star. I
it's
was like, wait, what am I supposed to do next? And how skinny do you need me to be? And how skinny are my
yeah.
clothes supposed to be? Like, I don't
Uh,
what am I
uh,
supposed to
yeah,
say? And
that's not your jam.
no,
No. What did you
no.
do when, yeah, right. What did you do when you were struggling? Like, what were some of the tools, the things? Like, I know there was phases where it was like, Molly, I just sat on the floor and cried. I mean, I didn't know. But then as you started to, and I've heard you talk about this, and I love some of the things that you shared about how you navigated it. Because so many people deal with hard stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we all have gone through our own versions of dark nights of the soul many times, and I'm sure everyone listening has, you know,
100%.
had your forehead against the floor just in defeat of like, I cannot
Mm-hmm.
take another minute.
Mm-hmm.
This world is hard right now, and so I'm so excited to share tools. I was so
Yeah.
lucky and so resourced to have
Yeah.
access to all of these incredible tools, and I know that some of what I talk about isn't accessible to everyone, but therapy
Mm-hmm.
was a humongous tool. I have an amazing therapist. I have an incredible psychiatrist who helped me.
Mm-hmm.
Psychiatrist. I tried Western medication, Eastern medication. I mean, I tried everything, and like,
Mm-hmm.
I did find comfort in, that finally surrender to like, yes, I need support.
Mm-hmm.
I need support that's more than
Mm-hmm.
acupuncture and like Reiki and massage right now. I
Yeah,
need
I know. I heard you talk about that, right?
medicine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, and then along with those scaffolding, like that scaffolding, once I set that up, the inner work that I did was journaling every day, a kind of journaling that
Yeah.
I
Tell me about
talked
it.
about a lot, and I can talk about more and go into more detail
I
later.
love, well, oh, okay. Yeah. Do it. Yeah, please. Go
Whatever you
ahead.
want.
Keep
But
rolling. Keep rolling. Go.
okay. Meditation and nature, like big
Mm,
nature, like the ocean, the mountains,
awesome.
even if you can't get to that, like a park sitting underneath a tree, I would do that a
Mm-hmm.
lot and just look at the perfection of what God's made and be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not alone
Mm-hmm.
here. I'm loved and
Mm,
supported. Um, Breath work was essential for me. I learned incredible tools about how to use my breath, and
mm-hmm.
I actually decided to put it into a song on my new record called Bad Thoughts, because
Mm-hmm.
of how instrumental it was in helping me when I was having panic attacks or dissociation or really terrifying things. It was often the only thing that would help me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then community, like my honesty and vulnerability and community was
Mm-hmm.
like, it allowed community to rush in. My friends, my husband, my parents, my daughters, my, yeah, the
Wow.
my fan base, my like
Yeah.
incredible community online that loved and supported and embraced me. And I think really a humongous tool was the honesty with everyone, opening up and taking my mask off so that I could see how not alone I was.
Mm, yeah. And to have all of that from God all the way through to the deep bottom of the oceans put their arms around you. It's
Yeah.
so awesome the way you talk about it. And I'm curious about your approach to journaling
Mm.
because and I think and I and the one of the tools that I really want you to share that I think is just it really really resonated with me was your graph that so on one side is all of the things that you need to deliver and show up with.
Oh my gosh.
Dude,
Yeah.
I love that. I was like, I'm down. Cause I'm a pleaser, right? So I want to kind of find a way to make everybody, but at some point you've just got to go kind of, here's my role. I actually just shared that with my husband. I love it.
No
So
way. I'm so
I
happy that
totally, dude. It's amazing. It's so killer. Cause it's like, and I love how you talked about it. Like, it's like, man, God, you got a lot to do over here, dude, but I'm going to just show up and breathe and we'll go from there. But you got your work cut out to you. Yeah. I just thought it was so cool. So I'm sort of curious about the journaling and any other of those kinds of things that you leaned into that helped you.
Yeah. So I'll explain a little bit first of what you're talking about. So I came up with this. I don't know how. Maybe I read about it in like 10 years ago and it drifted back into my mind. I don't know where it came from.
So good.
One day, I think I was just really overwhelmed with the production of the album, or something came up. Like, I can't do this. I can't do this on my own. I'm so afraid. And my relationship with spirituality has always been there and always been strong. But when I was really suffering was when I found God the most. And it's funny that I didn't mention that as a tool, which is the most foundational tool of all, like realizing that I am deeply loved by a presence that is far wiser and bigger and more understanding and compassion than I could ever even fathom. So that's like my biggest tool. But when I couldn't even access God, when I didn't understand that there was anyone loving me because I felt so deeply alone, I would often use this tool. And I would write out, one day I just was so frustrated, I wrote out everything that was wrong on one side of the paper. I made a column and I was like, problems. And I just wrote out every single problem that I could think of. And next to it, I put a column called My Job. And I went through each one and I really took some deep breaths and I said, what realistically does God want me to do here to solve all of these fucking problems? Right. And honestly, Molly, they were all like, breathe, calm down, smile, enjoy your life, make a few calls. Right. Was like the only action item, like make a few calls. and the rest of it was just slow down, receive, relax. And I was like, that's my job. Okay, and then next column, I wrote God's job. And it was hilarious. As I started writing, I'm like, oh my God, you have to do all of it. I don't have to do anything. If my job is just to breathe, then you have to go and figure all of the stuff out. And by each problem, I wrote, figure it out perfectly, get me the perfect manager, do this, make this thing, get my hair, fix my daughter's all the things, who cares what they are, find my producer, do this. And at the end of it, I cracked up. I just started laughing, and I was in a really deep depression at the time, but I just started laughing because I looked at my column, which was like 5 lines, and I looked at the column I had given the God of my understanding, God, and I cracked up because there was paragraphs and paragraphs of work for God to do. And I just started laughing. I was like, oh, dude, you have a lot of work to do, bro. Like, I'm going to go chill by the pool. Good luck. Go for it.
So good.
I just started laughing. And at the end of each one, I put a check mark. I put a box to check off for him. And I was like, and then I went even further. I was cracking up and I just kept writing like encouragements, and I was like, you can do it, go God, go, like, don't be intimidated, don't be scared. And I just cracked myself up. And as
my gosh,
got worked out, I remembered to go back to the list and check it off, and then I'd give him an A+, and I'd be like, great work, 100%. And I cracked up. And it has become a lifelong practice. Just before I sang the national anthem to 50 million people and the fight song for the, representing LA with the fires, that many people, it was terrifying. But I remembered right before I went on, I was in my green room in the stadium, and I remembered to write out on a napkin with a permanent marker, my job, God's job, and I went back and checked it off at the end. It's been an incredible tool. I highly recommend it. It just I call it the giggle board because it makes you crack up when you look. You're like, oh, I have literally nothing to do but make a few calls. I can do that.
And breathe and walk out there. I mean, like, it's just
like, bro. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's freeing. I gotta tell you, I mean, I literally listened to that this morning and I was like, that is killer. Like I'm gonna so like, freeing. It's so good. I mean, it is so good. And then journaling, like, what is your, I gotta tell you, like, whenever I, like, people talk about it, I had Matthew McConaughey on, all these people, and I'm like, I don't know where to, like, do you have a process, questions you ask yourself? Like, because I need some kind of structure around this journaling thing.
So many tips for you. I have really adopted many different schools of people's advice. I think that this is a combination of a lot of people's work, so I want to give them credit. One is Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way, her morning pages. I started doing in my 20s. That was pretty like fundamental to how I approach writing and journaling, and I'll talk about that.
Okay, cool.
And then Dr. Nicole Sachs, and when I was struggling with chronic pain in the midst of postpartum, I turned to her work and Dr. John Sarno's work. She's his mentee, and she has a process called Journal Speak, and it's similar to morning pages, but a little bit different. And then finally, Elizabeth Gilbert's Dear Love Letters and her Dear Love community on Substack. So this is a combination of all of them. I just wanted to make sure that I was giving credit.
No, that's so cool. Yeah, sure.
What I do is I will look at the page in front of me, and I will probably like start with the prompt. What I really want to say is, and let whatever comes out. And this is also Anne Lamott's technique of writing down the bones. You don't let the pen leave your hand. You literally just set a timer for 20 minutes. You write and write and write. Even if what you're writing is, I don't know what to say. This is stupid. Why am I doing this? Pen feels good in my hand. I don't care what you write. You just need to get your pen down on the page. Eventually, the real stuff will come out. You'll get you'll empty the garbage. You'll empty the trash in your head, and you'll get to the real stuff. Usually by like minute 17, you'll start to tap into that. You'll start to tap into the deeper essence of what's really there. So you're gonna just write, and you're gonna write whatever you think that. Not you think, whatever is really there, not the thing. You're not writing in a cute diary. You're not saying, dear diary, here's what happened today. This is not for anyone's eyes. You're going to rip this up at the end. This is Dr. Nicole's work. You're going to rip this up because this is going to be the ugliest, most embarrassing truth that you don't want anyone to know. And you're going to do it daily. And it feels so good. You're going to say, I hate the world. I want to shoot a bazooka into
right.
I want to run away to an island. I hate being a mom. You're going to just say whatever's because it doesn't stay true. You are just going to empty out what is really true that you never tell anyone. And then you're never going to show it to anyone. And you're going to crumple it up and you're going to throw it away, or you're going to delete the file on your laptop. And the truth is going to be changing constantly. And after you do that, which feels incredible, because can you think of how liberating that is for all of us listening who just feel like,
God. Yeah.
I can never say,
no, I can't. Right.
Well,
yeah. No, that's
right. It's so embarrassing. I could never say what I really feel.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to say it here.
Yeah.
Then what I do, another practice that I do, and like depending on how much time I have or what I'm feeling called to that day, I will have an answer from my higher power. And that will be, I'll write another prompt after I get it all out, and I'll write, dear love, or dear God, whatever you want, dear divine, dear whatever you call this incredibly loving source, dear God, dear love, what would you have me know today? And then you let go.
Wow.
You let go and you take a breath and you put your pen on the page again. And I promise you, no matter who you are, no matter what you believe in, an answer will come, whether it's from your own higher being, your own wiser self. It doesn't matter. An answer will come, and it will often tell you, like the my job list, baby, relax. It will talk to you lovingly, and start with an affection, like little honeypot, little sugar bum. I love you.
I've heard you say that. You're like, okay, Rach, like you're 5, right? Like,
little
Rach.
Yes.
But I love it. It's just, it's awesome.
Yes, I'm talking to the youngest version of me, like the sweetest scared baby. I'm saying, dear Rachie, you're
and you were a cute baby, you said.
Who wasn't? We were all cute babies deserving of that affection.
Exactly.
Like you are deserving of that voice. And so
you do those, is that kind of your, usually that first, and just let it go, and then do you do another like 20 minutes with that second question?
That could be everywhere.
Ish.
No, I mean, like, that will depend on what God wants you to know that day. Sometimes it's, I just love you so much. I love you so much. That's all. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it will be deep answers of like, I had one recently that was so beautiful and radical to me when I was really struggling with like, well, I want real success again from this album. I want like fight song level success, and I want that, and how do I get that? And I won't be okay if it's not. And God told me, I want you to think about what it feels like to have that outward success. What does that feel like when it all happened? What does it feel like when it continues to happen? And I wrote out adjectives like buzzy, excited, anxious, like
Yeah.
stirring
Yeah.
in my bones, and like, oh my God, I can't breathe. It's so exciting. And he said, okay. And what does it feel? And ungrounded, like I'm flying. What does it feel like when you're approving of yourself? When I'm loving you and approving of you? What does that feel? And I wrote steady, calm, grounded, whole,
Wow.
warm, calm,
Safe. Yeah.
safe.
Yeah.
And then God told me, why on earth would you chase the first one when you could have that second one any second of the day?
It's incredible.
Who lied to you? And what are you believing that you need that first kind of success when you know that I'm here loving you, that you're enough, and that your music is already a success because it healed you? And it just felt this like big exhale of like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm good. And I forget it. I'm human. I don't like stay
Sure.
with that, but like inevitably when I go back to the page, when I go back to my journal, and I resist it like all of us, like I'm like I don't have time. But when I come back, there's always love waiting for me. There's always answers. There's always wisdom.
I mean, that is just such profound, powerful stuff, Rachel. I really, I mean,
I'm so glad.
it is because it's just, I think sometimes in life, unintentionally, things get overcomplicated. And what you're sharing is something that I think is deep and wide and thick and all of that, but it's also simple enough to go do right
It's
now.
so simple.
Anyone. It's so
You
simple.
can
And it,
literally take a pen and a napkin I use sometimes with
yeah,
nothing around.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or your
It's,
phone. You can use the notes app in your phone if you're in your car and you're in a
yeah,
parking lot. Like a lot of parents,
yeah,
when you're just
yeah,
can't take
yeah,
anymore, sitting in a
yeah,
parking lot, like you can
yeah.
sit on your notes app and just pour it out, or use your voice memo app and just speak it to yourself. But there is power, I think, in the taking a pen in your hand. I think that there's
Oh, I
actually
do. 100%. Totally.
neuroscience backing that when we slow down our thoughts enough to write them, I think that
Yes.
we're resetting our neural pathways and like, finding new ones. So
Yes.
I do recommend a pen in your hand. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
simple, it's
Simple and so,
accessible,
right.
it's
Right.
it's warm, and it's so deep.
Uh, is that your songwriting process or like, do you ever go back and funnel through those pages, and does that ever spur song ideas? And and so I mean, and maybe I just gave you a killer idea because that feels kind of cool. But what is your songwriting process? I mean, I am just curious because I think to tell a story in 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever is staggering. It's so hard. It's staggeringly hard.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
go
that's
to the same voice that talks to me when and I don't do it intentionally because I've been writing songs since I was, 19 and had no idea about these practices. But I
right,
always,
right.
I think like what kind of really buoyed and affirmed my spiritual beliefs and my, like, belief that there was a loving God that loves me was actually my songwriting. Because I realized at some point in the depths of my depression when I was writing this last album that I had one of these moments in my studio and I had my forehead on the floor and I couldn't take anymore. And I was at the edge. I was at the end of my rope and I was crying out and I didn't know if there was a God that loves me. I didn't know. And I was screaming like, please, something help me. I mercy. I surrender mercy. And out of that cry and that prayer came my song, Mercy, that came to me in 20 minutes. I ran to the piano in so much pain, and all of a sudden I started playing these like almost joyful sounding chords, and I started wailing, and that cry turned into this chorus that is, oh mercy. And that was the cry that I had been crying on the floor minutes before. And that process of writing that song actually affirmed this belief in God that, well, I didn't write that. I didn't do that. I was a mess. I'm a mess. I was dissociating. My daughter has 105. My daughter was in the hospital. Like, I'm not okay. I didn't do that. There's no way that my brain.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
who did that through me? Who wrote this? Something that loves me, something that's bigger that I opened up to. And I realized it's the same thing that wrote Fight Song. It's the same thing that helped me meet my husband. It's the same presence that birthed my babies. That, it's the same presence that grows the flowers. It's like, it's the same presence that had some kind person smile at me when I needed it more than ever. And like, that's that loving force that loves me no matter what, that's always here. And that's the force that I write with. And that's who I write songs with. And now I honor it and like ask it to be there with me in the room. But before it was just kind of a stream of consciousness thing that it would just come. And I didn't understand how or why it came, but it would come. Like Fight
And
Song
so now you have this, so you trust it at some level, don't you? I mean, that's huge. Yeah, that's huge.
I ask it to work with me. I invite it in, and it doesn't always come. Sometimes it's just me. Like Elizabeth Gilbert, who really is my hero, mentor. Like, she's just the most incredible and a friend now. And how obnoxious. I'm like, a friend. But I'm proud. I'm proud to be a friend.
Yeah, that's good.
But I think that she said in her TED Talk about creativity after the massive success of Eat, Pray, Love, she said like that same thing. She said, well, here I am. I'm going to be laboring away like a mule, just doing my work. And I invite you to come on in, divine. And whether or not you show up is not up to me, but I'm going to put my hands on the keyboard. And for me, I'm going to put my hands on the piano and I'm going to show up. And whether or not you want to come in and flow through me today, that's really not up to me. I have to surrender that. But I'm going to be here trying.
Oh, she is unbelievable. I mean, that
unbelievable. Yeah.
No, she and the book. I think it's creativity. What the
Big Magic.
Big Magic. What a book! Holy smokes! I mean, there's not a lot of books that you just literally cannot. And I'm not. I mean, I'm probably as ADHD as they. I'm like reading, right? Like I mean, I was like, I couldn't put it. It was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
So you have girls. My husband and I have 3. Being a mother is talk about faith and a miracle. Holy smokes. I actually call my girls miracles because it is. How has, I mean.
It makes me cry thinking about my little girls.
Oh, they're coming today, baby. You got them today.
You're right.
They're coming. They're on your way. They're on
your
your
way.
way.
You're right.
Don't cry. They'll be there in a minute.
Yeah.
They'll be there in a minute. And after about 20 minutes, you'll be like, okay.
You're right. You're like, God, I missed what I was missing.
You're like, honey, you want to go downstairs and get a drink? Kids, we'll be back.
You're right.
Tell me, how has it changed? How has it changed? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's a big, again, it's a lot. But like, how has it changed your perspective, maybe, your approach?
Motherhood has
all
changed everything for me. Motherhood has fundamentally changed me to my core. I don't even have words to describe. I mean, I'm just different. I'm different. I'm a different woman. And I really think that, thank God I had the experience that I had. Thank God for my postpartum depression even. Thank God for my babies and their joy and their smiles that lifted me out of the depression. Like, thank God for them. I mean, I am so different. I just don't give so many F's anymore. I just don't care so much what you think anymore. Not you, but anyone.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, totally. Right.
Don't care because, like, you know what? At the end of the day, my toddler is going to pull my hair and probably spill marker on me later, and they don't think I'm such hot shit. So whether or not you, and then they also, but at the same time, think I'm the most important, essential thing in the world when they stare up at my eyes as I'm putting to bed and, like, want just one more yummy hug. And, like, so who I am is defined by me and my girls and my husband and nothing else, and God. And like, and so what the public might think of who I am and my performances, I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, it's fine. Criticize me all you want or love me all you want. It doesn't mean anything compared to what my little girls, need or feel in the world. And,
you know what? It's so cool because I mean, couldn't. I mean, to me, my girls, my husband, my parents, my brothers were super close. But I think about Oh, I feel so fortunate. I mean, so blessed. I
My
mean, I'm
sister's my
50.
best friend too.
Oh, that's so awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And they sort of keep you in a good way, right? Like kind of your feet on the ground sometimes when really exciting things can happen because they're like, dude,
Oh, yeah.
check yourself, right?
my
Like
God.
we don't care. Yeah.
100%.
I mean, Rachel, I'll never.
To
It's
us. It's just
oh
like,
no, which is so good though, right?
whatever. Have you seen the latest like Bravo episode?
Right. Right. You're like, dude, I just came off stage and just did X or I crushed this. And she's like, yeah, hey, well, whatever. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny because one time when I was an agent, I flew with one of my agents. We fly down to Miami. We're on a boat. It's like McMahon, Michael Jordan, all these athletes and all these big guys. We fly back to Atlanta. We get back and I remember calling my mom on the car ride back to the house and I was like, Mom, I mean, unbelievable, and I'm going through it all and I'm all amped up and I'm so psyched. Mom, but like, whoa, private, da da da. And she literally like paused for a hot second and then she goes, how are the girls and how's Fred? And I was like, but it was so good, right? Yeah, she's money. She's money. Oh, she's epic.
So amazing. That's so it.
It's so it. And but like so huge because and what I love about what you're sharing, and I think it's important to sort of unpack a bit, is that you've had, a lot of obviously success, and it gets easy to chase the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
Like it gets really easy to get sucked into the madness of that success and lose sight of what matters most. And so, maybe it was a combination of a lot of things, but like if you were gonna sort of give someone a piece of advice that maybe some point in their life in the future was gonna have a lot of success, but maybe needs to ensure that there's a way of whether it's thinking, feeling, believing, to ensure that they don't leave behind very unintentionally what matters most. That breaks my heart because I think it can happen unintentionally.
So easily. It's actually shocking when it doesn't happen. Can we just be honest?
That's what's so refreshing about you right now, though, is that.
Yeah. I mean, I have worked
awesome.
so hard to get this, though. Like, I have gone through hell. I have had to lose myself and find myself again over and over to get to here. And like, what I've worked on a lot in therapy is forgiving that person that lost perspective, that lost my values, that lost what matters, that lost my grounding and my footing. Like, forgiving her and having compassion and grace and just like understanding, like, baby, who could survive that? Who could stay intact when you are being, raised upon a pedestal after years of no one caring? And then it's just so confusing. And everyone starts acting like you're different or above other people. And that's a really dangerous thing for a human.
For sure.
Like, because we're not, we are, the thing that connects us all is remembering that we are all part of a whole. So to say you're actually not part of the whole anymore, you're actually above the whole, it can be just as dangerous as saying you're beneath the whole because you're just not part of us anymore. And so,
wow,
I just don't know how you don't lose yourself. And I wish that I knew what to say other than like, I mean, because I don't know if I would have believed you. If someone said to me, Rachel, this isn't what matters, like, remember, I think I would have been like, yeah, you just don't get it. You're not special like me. Like you, at that time, you're so confusing. But I do think that having a spiritual practice might be the only thing that can save you. And I don't know, whatever that spiritual practice looks like to you. But I think really putting that first. Would have been maybe the only thing that could have saved me at that moment.
That's probably true. I mean, because, well, it's, I mean, that, I think that the spiritual practice piece is critical. I think it really is. It's critical because I think, we know, and you hear it all the time from people that have quote unquote reached the top of the mountain, that it's really not that big of a deal and it's not that interesting and it's comes and goes so fast.
It's not.
And it's who you're becoming. Right. And so but people hear it a lot and yet,
but you don't believe it because I remember before I made it reading a book of women being like, women specifically, I wish I remembered the book, who had gotten their dreams and then were like, it didn't actually, and I was like, no, they just, they didn't
Yeah.
like get it.
They don't get it. Trust me, when I get there, it's gonna be
Right, when I
killer.
reach my dreams, then it's gonna matter. And like,
Yeah.
you just don't believe it when you're obsessive about chasing a goal. I mean, I think, yeah, like a practice of faith, of spirituality, but then I think maybe if you don't have that, then a practice of just connection. Don't lose your old first friends. Don't lose connection
totally.
with your best friend. Don't lose connection with your family. Like, keep those relationships sacred. Don't think that you need better friends or more exciting friends now. Fuck that. Like, those people are come and go, and yeah. So
yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
know. If you
No,
find
I
out,
mean,
I'd love to.
Oh no, I mean it's tell me this, and then I want to hit you with rapid fire, and we got to let you go, and you got to rest your voice, because you're coming to Atlanta on May 6th, by the way. I am pumped. Yeah, I know. I might have to see you.
Molly, you have to see me, of course.
I know. I think I do. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. May 6th, baby. But you're going everywhere. I mean, your new album and your tour. I mean, this is.
I'm so.
Where do people go? Rachel Platten. It's so exciting for you.
Go to the tour dates. I mean, it'll pop right up. But yeah, the tour dates section. I'm going all over the country, the U.S. and Canada. I haven't toured properly, like a headline tour, in 8 years. So I'm just extremely excited to get back out there and like to bring you this music that is so deeply personal. And I'm really excited about these nights we're going to have together, because I really just want to give everyone permission to feel. I just want to give everyone this permission to be themselves as they are, and cry together, and like dance together, and sing together, and like feel our power by the end of the night. I want to like go to the dark, so by the time we get to the light of Fight Song, the power of my song Set Me Free, like we earned it. So I'm really excited.
That's so. I can feel that journey, like as because it's literally like, come on this ride with me. Exactly. I am Rachel Platten. I mean, come on this.
Let's go.
That is so good, dude. I love that. I love that. How do you, I mean, with a rigorous schedule, kids, all that, how have you been, and how do you manage your energy, right? Like, take care of yourself in such what is both physically, mentally, all of it. How do you do that, right? Because I think for women in particular, it's hard. As a mom, like what does that look like for you? How do you do it?
Gosh,
not that we get it right every time, but
no. I mean, actually, I want to share something that happened recently that really was really hard, and it's really personal. But I want to share it, and with not saying names, so that I can reserve the privacy. But I recently actually got feedback from a team member of mine that was like, you are having too strong boundaries around you and your mental health and your like motherhood, and you need to like loosen up the reins a little bit and like work a little harder and chill out about protecting your your sacred peace. And it didn't really sit right with me, and it really hurt, actually, because I've worked so hard to know my own boundaries and to know like how to protect that, and how to give myself like the love and care that I would give my daughters, and like know when I'm starting to get exhausted or overwhelmed, and stick up for myself and say no or cancel things. And I never would do that in the past. Like on the Fight Song ride, I never did that, to the point where I was breaking down, and eventually did break down, and like not sleeping and losing, all the words of Fight Song. And so I have been really good about putting my girls first and putting my mental health first. And this team member didn't like that and wanted me to not do that anymore.
All right, girl, listen, you got to rest. I'm going to hit you with rapid fire, okay? So let's do this. Favorite artist growing up? Your favorite artist growing up?
Favorite? Oh, that's hard. I think it was a mix of like Sheryl Crow, Jewel, Alanis Morissette, like Lauryn Hill, kind of like powerful women singing confessional songwriter stuff.
What, like in a moment when you're feeling sort of overwhelmed, or you're feeling unfocused, like in a moment, a split second. You've written your God list, right? He's busy. What do you do?
I imagine myself like a baby being rocked in God's arms. I go to that image and I imagine all the weight of the world falling off of me, and I just imagine little Rachie and like loving her.
Wow. That's
That
cool.
image helps me in a
That's
split
good.
second, no matter
I
what.
bet.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm a little kid. I'm a little
Yeah.
kid,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I deserve love. Yeah.
Right. I love it. What book has impacted your life the most? Because you read a fair amount, it
I read
seems.
a ton. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
hard.
Mm-hmm.
There's books that I think The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
I read
So
it in my
good.
20s and it changed everything about how I saw myself and my art,
Mm-hmm.
and the practice of morning pages started there. I think that changed my life the most.
That's
And then
awesome.
not to be such a weirdo, but like the Bible and I don't know.
Yeah. That's
And
not a weirdo. That's not a weirdo. I
probably
mean,
Big Magic. I mean, there's so many more. I think I'm
yeah.
going to go with The Artist's Way. The Artist's Way.
Yeah. Yeah. I love. Okay, the artist way.
Yeah.
Um, all right, Rachel. Is there a new habit that you have tapped into in the last like year that you haven't shared yet that has just been killer for you, really helpful for you?
A new habit.
You know, like saunas, cold plunges. No, I'm
Oh,
just
good
kidding.
one.
Like
Okay.
a health habit, like a
Oh,
health
good.
habit, maybe. Let's
Oh
go
my
there.
God.
Let's go to a health
My
habit. I just
red
got a
light
sauna.
therapy,
It is killer.
my red light therapy mask that I put on every night.
Yo,
Obsessed. My skin is so glowing, and like I don't have to do
yes.
injections or stuff or peels or anything. I just do this amazing red light mask every night.
Yep. I
It's
just
been
got one of
game
those too.
changing. It's
Has
the
it? And do you
best.
do it every night? Like I don't
Well, like
always do it.
I just got it 3 weeks ago, so you're supposed to do
Okay,
it
you
every
look
night.
like a nut job when you put it on, right? Like
You're
it's
all crazy. My
awesome.
husband's
I
like,
came into the bedroom. My husband was like, "Holy smokes, what's going on around here?"
and
I was like,
my husband was like, "What the? This is another
"Yeah,
level of insane. You look
yeah,
like a
yeah."
robot."
Hey,
Yeah,
it takes a lot to look, to look cute, guys.
right. Like
Just a
I'm
minute.
still vain, even though I'm letting
Yeah,
myself age naturally. But yeah, I'm still working
yeah.
hard on the
Oh,
sidelines. Yeah,
I love it.
red light
All
therapy
right,
mask.
I love it. Hey, Rachel, this was so fun, and now I know what I'm doing in the morning at the most basic level. I'm ready to go. I got to get my pen, my journal, everything. Your
Yeah,
life,
girl. Can't wait.
you're such a gift. You really are. You're
Thank
so
you.
authentic, so real. You are a gift. You're a gift on stage, but you're really a better and bigger gift
Oh,
in who
Molly,
you are and how you show up.
thank you so much. This has been so fun to talk to you.